Good morning, Birkus Nation! I'm so glad to be back after this 3-month break, or 2-month break if you count this poor video. You may have asked yourself, or asked me, why did I just leave without any warning? Why hasn't there been a proper amalgamation episode in 5 months? And just where is that chess video I've been teasing? All that, and more, will be answered in this very channel update. But since it's Christmas, I'm gonna repeat what I did last year. Once I've chowed down these channel update flavoured Brussels sprouts, I'm gonna get to the turkey of the video and talk about 3 mappers that I personally find to be underrated, because I still, 1 year later, think that more people should do that. Last year's video had some semblance of an effect, since Emberisha did one of these before enlisting it 2 nanoseconds later. This Greater Belgium mapping person sort of did one, but my boy, Renaissance Productions, I asked him to do one, he had like 1,000 subscribers, which ended up being like investing in GameStop because look at those numbers. I don't think 4 people making spotlight videos is enough though. I'm still actively pushing for more Denia Kiev. Sorry about that. Let's move on to the actual channel update. This is like the most generic mapper answer ever since we're all infants, but once I wrapped up Congo's Finest Hour, I largely stopped working on my mapping stuff because I just took a look at my studies and was like, oh, this kind of defines my future, doesn't it? So I just kind of hard focused on that for the next 2 months. Here's a list of all the projects I've going on. Yes, that's a lot. That's a lot. Now highlighted is what I've been making small progress towards during my occasional off time. This is a big list with a lot of words, so for those of you who don't enjoy reading leftist memes, I'll run through some of the highlights of what you can expect in 2023. I am simultaneously assisting 4 people with their episodes at the moment. 2 are quite close to completion, so expect them soon. I'm hoping to retain the once a month schedule I've been close to sticking to, I swear. These should continue as is. Glasnost is pretty stagnant during my break, but we have the first episode of Season 2 planned now. There should also be trailers for the season soon on everyone's channels. Voyage is still going at a normal pace. We have a great lineup for the final episode, so hopefully we can make it into less of an EU4 game and more of an actual mapping series. I've more content in the works, like the Hobo Hobo video, which a lot of people seem to like. There's one about 4-player chess that's been in the work for like half a year now, and I also started work on a video about Ronald Reagan last month that I refuse to elaborate further on. To be honest, I have no idea when these are coming out. I usually just work on them when I feel like it. This niche little series on my channel is actually something I'm planning on bringing back. Next month, I'm going to start grinding out the final 3 episodes of Season 1, and they'll remain my main focus until they're done. However, I'm going to take somewhat of a break afterwards because... Anyone remember this wacky video? This mapping series is still actually in the works, mainly thanks to George, who originally created it. I haven't been at it very often, and neither of my 3 other assistants, but once Amalgamation Season 1 is done, I'll switch my main focus to this series for a bit. Anyways, I believe it's time to spot some lights, or actually light some spots. That's what I'm doing. I'm lighting spots where mappers are so they can be seen. Let's do that. There's a saying I just invented that goes something like, basically every good alternate history mapping series that takes place before the 20th century can be traced back to one place, or in other words, all roads lead to Varna. Looking at the Brazilian mapping channel is like looking at the total perspective vortex from the restaurant to the end of the universe. I will watch 1 episode of Varna and be like, what are the rest of us even doing here? We all suck. I suck. This is the only good mapping series. It's no surprise then that all these series that are based on Varna, and usually have help from Brasilia himself, are also really good. Spicy, Bulgar, Trantor when he still made videos, Moro, Marble who's remaking a series from Nime. Every single one of these people is property of what I like to call BMC Corporation. But I have dug deep. I have found unclaimed territory, someone outside of the monopoly. I will now take a stand against BMC Corporation. Well, either that or give them a new asset. The latter is probably a better idea. Cooperation between mappers is a good idea, actually. Anyway, this untouched soul comes from an unlikely place, and it all begins with Jeff. A few months ago, Jeff shares this video with me, claiming he found a new decent mapper. I took a gander at this new prologue and quickly realised that some of these lines are familiar. Yeah, so basically this person just took dialogue from the start of Voyage and used it for their own HOA. Based. I sent this over to the Voyage group chat. We left a few snarky comments, and surprisingly, the culprit, whose name is literally Flop, unlisted the video and apologised directly to Poisonous. So that was that, right? Just a funny little incident that we can all look back on and laugh at. No. No, because this person unlisted the video decides to actually continue the series, and it's actually quite decent. That was a lot of exposition, but yes, my first spotlightee is Flop. Flop has 60 subscribers and 4 videos, all of which are part of the unnamed AHOE series I mentioned earlier. I'm going to do something odd and start with the last category first. In terms of originality, Flop gets a 7. Now, the series in its current 3-episode state is nothing you haven't seen before, with some basic wars, rivalries and alliance forming, but the cause of such a high score is the fact that this series takes place in the 1500s. In terms of 1500 series, mapping really only has Varna and Voyage, unless I'm forgetting some other notable series. Varna is a grand epic that's supposed to span 2 whole centuries, and Voyage is colonization porn tacked onto a decent Europe plot, so both are fairly easy to divert from. This leads me onto the plot, which I'm going to give a 5. The main thing going for the plot at the moment is the time period it's set in, but as of now I don't really think it knows what to do with itself. It has the opposite problem to Voyage, where instead of too much colonization, there's too little. This is what New Spain looks like in 1495 near the end of episode 1, and this is what New Spain looks like in 1509 at the end of episode 3. There's no difference, and other colonies haven't exactly grown much either. Flop instead focuses on setting up the European rivalries I mentioned earlier, which are decently set up, but like I said, the plot seems like it doesn't really know what to do with itself. In my opinion, it has 2 choices. It could go the route of focusing on Europe and leaving America as a background detail that occasionally causes some crisis back home, or it could go the route of focusing on America and leaving Europe as a background detail. This is somewhat how the series is branded anyway, with America in view at all times, and the series beginning upon its discovery, but I think it'd be far more interesting if it went the extra mile and revolved around the European explorers' slow conquest or exploration of this new world, with old rivalries taking on new shapes overseas. There's an interesting scene in episode 3 where New Spain strikes a trade deal with the Aztecs that I look forward to seeing being built upon, and I think it would fit well into this vision for the series. Anyways, to wrap things up, visuals get a 6. The highlight is how the world map is cropped to center on the Atlantic. Arcanius claims that the map aligns with BMC Corporation standard, but ironically I personally think it looks like his own polarity map. Also, there's like way too many scenes that just cut to black screens. Dialogue gets an 8, definitely the high point so far. It's very solid with 0 errors. I like these 3 lines, and most importantly, it doesn't try too hard to be all poetic. Audio is a low point, so I'm giving it a 3. It very much falls into this trap, but don't let that discourage you from watching the series as a whole. I personally think Flop has a lot of potential here, and I wish them luck in their future work. Go watch their series, it's only around half an hour long at the moment. This is only tangentially related, but I just want to say that the mapping series I usually enjoy watching the most are ones that go in wacky directions and don't take themselves too seriously. Why have 2-hour novel when you can have 20-minute skit? Why have war slides when you can have this? This was my first taste of Mori, then known as Moriat, and is contained in a fairly average mapping video that is quite good for a first attempt. However, my second taste of Mori, which some of you have probably already seen given its view count, was something entirely different. The video starts off as a seemingly normal alternate World War II scenario, but things take a turn when one of the characters realises they're in a mapping series, and the video switches gears into a show where Moriat himself is a character. He controls worlds that correspond to mapping series, and it's possible for characters to become so powerful that they become self-aware and can directly affect their maker. Now, this is good. I like the idea of a simulation plot on mapping. It's one of the few things that can actually work in this rather limited genre. I think someone should do the simulation plots but proximate it to interdimensional plots, that being make it actually really good. There have been a few attempts at this in the past, but none have yet triumphed, so maybe Mori will finally be the one to do it. However, I do have some somewhat scathing critiques to drop beforehand. I'm going to mainly focus on the simulation video and its addendum for this, but I'll mention the other 2 mapping videos a couple times. Plot gets a 5. Similarly to Flop, it's kind of too early to tell where this will go. The setup is decent with the exception of the person controlling the simulation literally just being Mori. I'm sorry, but I cannot take this big powerful character seriously when he's just a teenager / young adult editing talking maps on a computer. The newest video also has a pretty interesting plot relating to the current war in Ukraine. I recommend checking it out for yourself. Visuals get a 6 judging by the most recent video. This style is pretty cool for one for some of the smallest dialogue I've ever seen in my life, and the rotating zooms. I do like the idea of showing multiple nations in the text box at the same time though. I've seen Barbell and Commonwealth do this previously, and I personally think this is only going to catch on further over time. Dialogue I unfortunately have to give it 2. Mori straight up admitted in a recent update video they haven't been putting a lot of effort into it, with a lot of typos and abundance of lowercase text, and just a whole lot of informality and inconsistent writing. The latest video seems to be somewhat of an improvement though, so hopefully things continue that way. Audio I'm giving an 8. The songs actually fit and aren't just random epic music, which puts Mori already at leagues above most mappers. There's also an original song in the newest video, which puts Mori above pretty much every other mapper. Finally, originality gets an 8 for obvious reasons. While this score isn't the highest, I still think Mori's worth checking out. He reminds me of Arm in that he's full of interesting, unique ideas, but hasn't quite got the execution bit down yet. I personally have faith that this will happen. Maybe it won't. It's kind of like an investment. Invest in @Mori8259 today. Alright, the third and final spotlightee of this video. I'd like to give a warning for this one. This is easily the most insane rabbit hole of mapping videos I've fallen into in my nearly 7 years of watching this genre. This person isn't a hidden gem like Pixel Ball, they're more of a hidden demon core. Anyways, you've been warned. Our insane story starts in the most insane way possible. I get a message from another mapper that he somehow found this random mapping channel through the Discord server for his college's Minecraft server. That's right, he found this random mapping channel through the Discord server for his college's Minecraft server. This mapper at German Mapping Studios has 2 mapping videos, both of which are over half an hour long, yet they only have 7 subscribers. And to top it all off, they have an e-boy Wojak in front of German flag profile picture. Do you see why I gave the warning now? If you don't worry, it gets so much worse. The best way I can describe this person's videos is just by going through the twisted journey that is watching through them. This will contain spoilers, so if you want to go in blind, just watch the videos yourself. If you want the highlights, however, stick around. I had a brief look at the videos when I first saw the channel, with the first thing that stood out to me, and I imagine many of you as well, being the fact that this person painstakingly recreated the exact style of the AHOW made by the alternate zeitgeist, better known as Imperial Mapping. Bit of a strange move to just meticulously study and copy someone else's style rather than forming your own, but it's whatever. The second thing that stood out to me was the genuinely interesting series concept of a liberal, democratized Soviet Union surviving into the modern day and remaining a great power. I just skimmed through the first few minutes, thought it seemed rather underrated, and decided to leave it until later to watch through. Then I sent it to Astral Mapping, and he, not I, went through the twisted journey of watching through these videos first. 1 minute in seems like a normal, decent mapping video. 2 minutes in, 3 minutes, 10 minutes. The character setup and world building are good so far, nothing out of the ordinary. Then we get to America. Donald Trump has died of obesity and been replaced with evil fascist Ron DeSantis. The evil far left is also apparently a threat now, and Joe Biden's just sitting there watching it all. Also, NATO was gay and woke. The video ends with a DeSantis victory, which leads to banger lines like this, and also America turns dark grey, which is the colour of Nazi Germany. Then there's episode 2. DeSantis opens by talking about how epic Christianity is. Bernie Sanders gets assassinated, and the far leftist starts some discourse about gay people. This is when Crimson Dawn stops being a mapping series and starts being a Twitter argument. I'm not even joking, like a lot of episode 2 straight up reads like the average mapper's Twitter feed. People right now are saying, oh, leave Twitter and join Mastodon, oh, leave Twitter and rejoin Tumblr, but German Mapping Studios here is like, no, I'm gonna make my tweets in the form of a mapping series. Anyways, this results in Putin getting his ass beat in the QRTs and being executed by firing squad, Hungary straight up being racist, Turkey being a champion of women's rights, China threatening to kill DeSantis, Japan nuking itself, and also some actually normal plot progression. Then America goes on a 2-minute racist, homophobic, and xenophobic rant. And that's Crimson Dawn, so far at least. Wow, that was a lot to take in. Let's try and rate this. I'm gonna give the plot here a 7. The premise is the obvious highlight here, and stuff like Japan's alliance, the EU rallying at the Soviets, and even authoritarian America are good additions to that in my opinion. Visuals I'm straight up removing. These are not original visuals, and Imperial's visual style wasn't exactly very good to begin with. Dialogue I'm gonna give a 4. It's well written and all, but like I said before, this is literally just a series of Twitter arguments as well as exposition dumps that opt to tell the history of this world rather than show it. I do like this line about Hoi 4 players though. Audio also gets a 4. German Mapping Studio seems obsessed with using the same generic mapping songs you've heard 100 times already without really caring about whether they fit or not. For originality I'm giving another 7, again mainly because of the unique premise. Funny enough, the closest thing I can think of to this is my own Glasnost collab, and even that has quite a lot of differences to this. Again, this isn't a super high score, but I felt like spotlighting this person anyway because A, I really wanted to talk about the insane rabbit hole I fell down, B, they literally only have 7 subscribers despite all this effort, and C, like with the other 2 people here, I think there's potential for great content. I hope that all 3 managed to achieve that, and I also hope German Mapping Studios doesn't evolve their series into America spewing slurs or other heinous things to the point where it's genuinely uncomfortable to watch. Like, they condemn hate speech and stuff like that here, which is good, I do too, but this series is so unhinged that I don't really know what to expect, so I'm just going to take precautions here and say that if something like that does happen, it's not cool, and showcasing that isn't the point of the spotlight. Now that that's out of the way, I'll let you all free so you can watch these 3 individuals. Merry Christmas, and good night, Birkus Nation.